Have you ever felt lost, not knowing exactly which path to take? At some point in life, we all face this uncertainty. Choices seem confusing, paths multiply, and the lack of clarity can lead to frustration and even suffering. But what if there were a way to understand who we really are, discover our true potential, and make decisions more aligned with our essence? Carl Jung believed that such a path exists, and it is called self-knowledge. Knowing yourself is not just an abstract concept or a distant ideal. It is a transformative journey that can change everything: your relationships, your career, your inner peace, and even the way you handle life's challenges. When we truly understand ourselves, we begin to see our talents, desires, and fears more clearly, as well as to better understand the world around us. This deep understanding allows us to make more conscious decisions and live a life that truly makes sense. Jung dedicated his life to studying the human mind and the impact of the unconscious on our daily lives. He realized that many of our problems arise because we do not fully understand who we are. From a young age, we learn to shape ourselves according to the expectations of others, parents, teachers, friends, and society as a whole. We create an identity based on what we believe is accepted and admired, but often, this identity does not reflect our true selves. This leads us to live a life that seems right in the eyes of others, but, deep inside, may leave us feeling empty and disconnected. For Jung, the solution to this dilemma lies in individuation, a process of integration between the conscious and the unconscious. He believed that we all have hidden aspects within us, repressed parts that we cannot directly see, but that influence our actions, emotions, and decisions. When we ignore these aspects, we become prisoners of unconscious patterns, repeating the same mistakes and falling into the same emotional traps. But when we commit to self-knowledge, we begin to bring these parts to light, allowing our personality to become more complete and balanced. Self-knowledge, according to Jung, is not just about understanding the past or analyzing traumas. It goes far beyond that. It is about looking at yourself with honesty, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, taking responsibility for your own growth. Often we seek answers outside ourselves, in books, in other people's advice, or even in society's opinions. But the truth is that no one can tell us who we truly are. That discovery must come from within. Jung teaches us that this journey can be challenging because it forces us to question truths we have always taken for granted. Facing our own unconscious can be uncomfortable, but it is an essential step toward achieving a state of authenticity. When we begin to understand our own patterns and motivations, we become stronger in the face of challenges, less influenced by external opinions, and better prepared to create a life that reflects our true essence. And that is exactly what we will explore in this video. Throughout this process, you will understand how self-knowledge can transform your reality and how to apply Jung's teachings to find clarity, purpose, and fulfillment. Each step of this journey is a fundamental piece for you to reach your best version. Carl Jung not only revolutionized the study of the human mind, but also introduced a new way of seeing the journey of self-knowledge. To understand how knowing yourself can change everything, we need to grasp what he proposed with his analytical psychology. Unlike traditional approaches, Jung did not see human beings merely as a result of past traumas or external influences. He believed that our psyche is shaped by deep forces, many of which operate in the unconscious and determine a significant part of our choices, behaviors, and even our inner conflicts. Analytical psychology was developed precisely to explore these hidden forces. Jung realized that many of the difficulties we face arise because we live disconnected from our own essence. From childhood, we are conditioned to act according to others' expectations, shaping our personality based on external standards. This process can distance us from our true selves, creating a kind of social mask that we wear to be accepted. This mask, which Jung called the persona, is necessary for interacting with the world, but when we over-identify with it, we risk losing touch with who we truly are. Moreover, there is another side of our psyche that Jung called the shadow. The shadow represents all the repressed aspects of our personality: desires, fears, impulses, and traits we have learned to hide because society deems them inappropriate. The problem is that the more we deny this part of ourselves, the more it unconsciously influences our behavior. People who repress their anger, for example, may end up exploding at unexpected moments, while those who ignore their insecurities may project them onto others, excessively criticizing or judging. For Jung, self-knowledge involves this process of integration. Recognizing and accepting one's shadow is essential for living a more authentic and balanced life. Another central concept of analytical psychology is the collective unconscious. Jung realized that beyond personal unconsciousness, formed by our individual experiences, there is a deeper level that we share with all humanity. This collective unconscious is composed of archetypes, universal patterns of behavior, images, and symbols that appear in mythologies, religions, and stories throughout history. That is why many cultures have similar narratives about heroes, sages, maternal figures, and transformative challenges. These archetypes also subtly influence our lives, shaping our perceptions, beliefs, and even our dreams. Unlike Freud, who saw the unconscious as a repository of repressed desires, Jung viewed this dimension as a rich source of wisdom. He believed that by connecting with the contents of the unconscious, we could find answers to many of our dilemmas. This connection can occur in various ways, through dream analysis, observing our behavioral patterns, or even exploring symbols that deeply resonate with us. The important thing is to understand that within us lies a vast, unexplored territory, and by accessing it, we can better understand our motivations and find a deeper meaning in life. But why is this so important? Because when we are unaware of these internal influences, we become subject to them. We repeat destructive patterns without knowing why, feel fears we cannot explain, and make decisions that distance us from what we truly want. Self-knowledge, according to Jung, is the key to taking control of our own lives, as it allows us to see more clearly what is guiding us. The more we know ourselves, the more we can align our choices with what genuinely fulfills us. And this is what makes analytical psychology so powerful. It not only helps us understand our emotions and behaviors, but also provides us with tools to transform our reality. Instead of merely reacting to events, we begin to act with awareness and purpose. We start to realize that we do not have to be prisoners of the past, of others' opinions, or of old unconscious patterns. We can reclaim our authenticity and create a path that truly reflects who we are. This is a continuous process that requires reflection and courage, but the reward is immense: more freedom, more clarity, and a life with greater meaning. If there is one central aspect of Carl Jung's thought, it is the idea that knowing oneself is the key to transforming life. But what does this really mean in practice? Jung believed that self-knowledge was not just a reflection on the past or a superficial understanding of likes and preferences. He saw this journey as a deep process of integration, where every part of our psyche, both conscious and unconscious, needs to be recognized and worked on so that we can live fully. To achieve this, he left valuable lessons that help us walk this path of discovery. One of the first things Jung warns us about is the danger of letting the world define who we are. From an early age, we are influenced by external opinions that shape our identity. Family, school, culture, and even friends play an important role in telling us how we should act, what we should like, and what choices we should make. The problem is that, throughout this process, we may end up losing our essence. We begin to believe that we need to meet others' expectations to be accepted, and without realizing it, we distance ourselves from what we truly want and feel. Jung invites us to question, who are we when no one is watching? What do we truly value? What do we want for ourselves, without the interference of imposed standards? Many people spend their entire lives trying to live up to an image that is not their own, leading to frustration, anxiety, and a deep sense of emptiness. The search for self-knowledge involves an exercise in brutal honesty. We must ask ourselves whether we are living an authentic life or merely following a script that was imposed on us. Furthermore, Jung emphasizes the importance of understanding our passions. He believed that many of our emotional blockages stem from repressing our deepest desires. This happens because, from an early age, we learn to suppress certain feelings and wants that may be considered inappropriate or irrelevant by society. However, these passions do not disappear. They simply hide in the unconscious, where they continue to influence our choices without us realizing it. When we ignore what truly drives us, we feel a constant discomfort, as if something is missing. How many people pursue careers that do not inspire them simply because they believe it is the safest choice? How many relationships are maintained out of convenience rather than a genuine desire for connection? Jung teaches us that to live a richer and more meaningful life, we need to reconnect with our passions and genuine desires, even if it means challenging expectations or stepping out of our comfort zone. Another essential point is understanding that we are more than our past. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Many times we carry old wounds that make us believe we are trapped in certain narratives. If we had a difficult childhood, we might believe we are incapable of living fully. If we failed at something in the past, we might think we are not good enough. But Jung reminds us that our identity does not have to be determined solely by our past experiences. What truly matters is what we choose to do from the present onward. This means that to truly know ourselves, we need to look beyond the limitations we have created for ourselves. We must challenge self-sabotaging beliefs and understand that there is always room for transformation. The past may have shaped some of our perceptions and behaviors, but it does not define who we are. Individuation, the process of truly becoming who we are, only happens when we can integrate what we have lived without allowing it to hold us back. And this is one of the greatest challenges of self-knowledge, facing head-on everything we have tried to ignore. Our fears, insecurities, and repressed desires all need to be acknowledged for us to evolve. Running away from these parts of ourselves only prolongs suffering. When we have the courage to face our shadows and understand that we are a combination of light and darkness, we begin to find balance. And it is precisely at this point that self-knowledge becomes transformative. When we understand that we do not need to fit into an external mold, that our passions are important, and that our past does not define our future, we gain freedom. Freedom to be who we truly are, to make choices more aligned with our essence, and to live a life that brings us true meaning. One of the greatest difficulties in the process of self-knowledge is dealing with our own weaknesses. Jung believed that every person carries both strengths and vulnerabilities within themselves, and ignoring or denying the parts we consider negative does not make us stronger. On the contrary, it makes us prisoners of them. This happens because everything we repress does not disappear. It merely hides in the unconscious, from where it continues to influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. When we avoid looking at our weaknesses, they end up manifesting unconsciously, creating destructive patterns in our lives. It might be an irrational fear of rejection that prevents us from forming genuine connections, or chronic procrastination that sabotages our plans and goals. Often, it is these hidden aspects of our personality that keep us trapped in repetitive cycles of self-sabotage, making it impossible to realize our true potential. And this is where one of Jung's most important reflections comes in. Addiction is not limited to chemical substances like alcohol and drugs. He believed that every form of addiction is actually an unconscious attempt to escape something within ourselves. Some people become addicted to work, others to destructive relationships, and others to distractions that keep them from facing their own pain. But the mechanism behind all these behaviors is the same: avoiding confrontation with what scares or hurts us. According to Jung, idealism can also be a dangerous addiction. Often we cling to grand ideas of how life should be and ignore reality as it is. We create unrealistic expectations about ourselves and others, believing that if we just have the right attitude, everything will magically work out. But this disconnection from reality can lead to frustration and suffering, as it prevents us from seeing situations as they truly are and taking concrete steps to change what is within our reach. True self-knowledge requires the courage to face reality, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. This means recognizing our self-destructive behavior patterns and understanding what is behind them. If we cling to addictions, whether physical or emotional, we need to investigate what void we are trying to fill. If we avoid facing our fears, we need to understand what is stopping us from confronting them. To overcome these blocks, Jung believed that we should integrate our weaknesses rather than try to suppress them. This means recognizing that no one is perfect, that failures are part of the human experience, and that we do not need to punish ourselves for our limitations. Instead of fighting against our shadows, we should learn to work with them. A practical example of this is self-sabotage. Many people say they want success, happiness, or positive change, but in practice, they make decisions that keep them away from these goals. This behavior may seem irrational, but it makes sense when we understand that the unconscious may be operating based on unresolved fears. If, for example, someone grew up hearing that money corrupts people, they may unconsciously sabotage their financial opportunities. If someone has been rejected in the past, they may develop a pattern of pushing people away before they have the chance to hurt them. These patterns can only be broken when we turn our awareness inward, analyzing our fears and motivations honestly. And this honesty can be uncomfortable because it forces us to face the fact that, often, we are our own worst enemy. But Jung teaches us that when we take responsibility for our lives and stop blaming external factors, we gain the power to transform it. The key to this transformation is emotional discipline. Jung believed that simply recognizing our weaknesses is not enough. We need to act consciously to overcome them. This means adopting new habits, changing the way we react to situations, and, most importantly, learning to observe ourselves critically and constructively. Instead of judging ourselves for our mistakes, we can use them as lessons to better understand who we are and how we want to evolve. Dealing with our weaknesses does not mean eliminating them, but rather learning to manage them intelligently. Instead of being controlled by our unconscious impulses, we can develop the ability to choose our actions with greater awareness and intention. When we understand what truly motivates us, we can direct our energy toward what really matters. And it is precisely this process of transformation that leads us to the next step in the journey of self-knowledge. Now that we understand how to deal with weaknesses and overcome destructive patterns, we need to explore an essential element in shaping our own destiny: the importance of establishing a purpose and aligning our actions with who we truly want to be. Carl Jung teaches us that we are not merely what happened to us, but rather what we choose to become. This concept may seem simple, but it carries immense depth. Most people live reacting to the world instead of taking control of their own lives. Without realizing it, we follow automatic patterns, often influenced by the past or by external expectations, without questioning whether these choices truly represent us. But self-knowledge offers us something powerful: the ability to decide who we want to be and to shape our reality accordingly. However, for this transformation to truly happen, it is essential to establish a clear purpose. When we do not know where we want to go, we become vulnerable to external circumstances. The world pushes us in different directions, and without a defined course, we end up living passively, simply accepting whatever happens. Jung believed that one of the greatest dangers in life is allowing the unconscious to take the reins. When this happens, we repeat old patterns, recreate dysfunctional situations, and often find ourselves facing the same type of problem repeatedly without understanding why. The lack of purpose makes us feel stagnant, dissatisfied, and without the energy to pursue something greater. But how can we discover our true purpose? Jung teaches us that this answer is not outside but within us. The first step is to stop and observe. What are the things that genuinely spark our interest? What activities make us lose track of time? What kinds of challenges motivate rather than discourage us? Many times our purpose is already present in our lives, but we ignore it because we are too busy trying to meet the expectations of others. Another essential point is understanding that purpose does not only mean a career goal or a major life objective. It is deeply connected to how we choose to live on a daily basis. Purpose can be found in the way we relate to others, how we contribute to the world, or even in the continuous pursuit of personal growth. Jung believed that when we align our actions with our true selves, we experience a sense of fulfillment and harmony. This does not mean that everything will be easy or perfect, but rather that we will find greater meaning in our experiences. For this transformation to occur, action is necessary. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to start something, but Jung reminds us that the path only reveals itself when we take the first step. Action generates clarity. Small daily changes, such as establishing habits that reflect who we want to be, can help us break free from stagnation and move closer to our potential. If we want to be more creative, for example, we should set aside time to practice creativity. If we want to become more disciplined, we need to practice small doses of discipline every day. Internal resistance, however, can be a major obstacle. The unconscious tries to keep us in our comfort zone, creating doubts and fears that prevent us from acting. We think, what if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if it doesn't work? But Jung teaches us that these fears are part of the process. Initial insecurity does not mean we are on the wrong path. On the contrary, it means we are growing. Another danger of not defining a purpose is the tendency to live based on past patterns. Many people who grew up in dysfunctional environments, for example, end up repeating these patterns in adulthood. This happens because the unconscious seeks familiarity, even when that familiarity is negative. If a person was emotionally neglected in childhood, they may find themselves drawn to relationships where they also do not receive enough attention, because this dynamic is what their unconscious recognizes as normal. To break this cycle, we need clarity about where we want to go and conscious decision-making to move away from these patterns. Jung believed that by defining a purpose and acting toward it, we integrate important parts of our psyche. This means we stop being merely a collection of unconscious impulses and become the protagonists of our own story. Self-knowledge gives us the ability to see our choices more clearly, understand our true motivations, and create a life that reflects who we really are. But this process is not just mental. It requires constant practice. It is not enough to simply reflect on who we want to be. We need to make concrete decisions that lead us there. This involves learning to say no to things that divert us from our path, letting go of habits that do not contribute to our growth, and surrounding ourselves with influences that push us forward. When we begin to live with purpose, we feel a powerful internal shift. We stop depending on external validation, become more confident, and find genuine motivation to keep moving forward. But there is an even deeper element in this journey that Jung emphasized: the need to connect with something greater than ourselves. Carl Jung believed that self-knowledge is not just an internal process, but also a search for connection with something greater than ourselves. For him, a truly meaningful life could not be limited to our individual world. It was necessary to expand our vision and recognize that we are part of a much broader whole. This connection with the infinite, as Jung called it, can manifest in many ways, through spirituality, art, philosophy, nature, or even the impact we leave on society. What he discovered through his studies is that when we feel disconnected from this something greater, our existence tends to lose meaning. We feel an emptiness that we try to fill with distractions, excessive work, or unsatisfying relationships. But this void cannot be filled with superficial elements. We need a deeper purpose, something that transcends our individual existence and makes us feel part of something meaningful. Spirituality, for Jung, was not limited to religion in the traditional sense. He understood that each person could find their own way of connecting with the infinite. Some people find this meaning in religious faith, others in the contemplation of nature, others in the pursuit of knowledge, or in dedication to a greater cause. What matters is not the chosen path, but the realization that our lives are part of a broader context. When we gain this perspective, our minds expand, and many of our daily concerns stop feeling so overwhelming. This concept can be seen in how great civilizations throughout history have always sought a deeper understanding of existence. Ancient mythologies, religions, and philosophies did not arise by chance. They reflect this human need to find meaning. Jung realized that, regardless of culture or historical period, human beings have always been driven by this search for transcendence. He called this the archetype of the self, which represents the totality of the psyche and the integration of all aspects of our being. The problem is that in the modern world, many people have lost this connection with the infinite. We live in an era dominated by immediacy and superficiality, where the need for quick answers and easy solutions distances us from deeper contemplation. The lack of purpose and the feeling of disconnection are some of the main causes of anxiety and depression today. Jung foresaw this. He believed that without this connection, the human psyche becomes destabilized because it needs a sense of belonging to something greater to find balance. So how can we regain this connection? The answer lies in introspection and in seeking meaning within what resonates with our essence. Some people find this meaning through art, others by helping others, and others by exploring deep knowledge about themselves and the universe. The important thing is that this search is genuine and brings a sense of belonging and purpose. Jung also teaches us that this connection does not have to be mystical or supernatural. It can be present in the small moments of daily life. Being in tune with the present, appreciating the beauty of life, cultivating gratitude, and recognizing the interconnectedness of everything around us are practical ways to develop this broader perception. When we look at our existence through this lens, we realize that our difficulties are not isolated obstacles, but rather parts of a greater path leading us to growth and evolution. And perhaps the most important aspect of this connection with something greater is the impact it has on our choices. When we feel that our life has meaning beyond our own concerns, we begin to make decisions more aligned with our true selves. We stop acting out of impulse or fear and start thinking about how we can contribute to the world, through our work, our relationships, and the way we choose to live. This broader vision gives us strength to face challenges, because we understand that each difficulty is part of a larger journey. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by obstacles, we learn to see them as opportunities for growth. If this journey of self-knowledge made sense to you, remember, the process of understanding oneself is continuous, and every small discovery can transform your life. Carl Jung showed us that by integrating all parts of our being and finding a greater purpose, we can live with more authenticity and fulfillment. If this content helped you in any way, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more reflections on personal development and psychology. This helps us continue bringing valuable content to you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.